So in this video, we're going to cover how to get into your customer's mind and understand what is actually stopping them from buying from you, so that when you uncover these objections, you can actually handle them on your product page or your landing page. And therefore, if you handle these objections and get them answered, you're going to essentially make more people buy from you, so that it results in a higher conversion rate and a stronger bottom line. This technique I'm about to show you is something that we are regularly using for our 7 and 8 figure clients. It is responsible for generating over $50 million of additional revenue. So for that reason, I'm going to show you it step by step and what you can do in order to understand these objections, handle them, and boost your conversion rate. Let's say you have your product page like we have in this example, and your customer is looking at it. And whenever your visitor is landing on your product page or the landing page, they have certain objections in their mind of why they are not buying from you. And when you're running your ads, you usually don't know what are these objections that are making people not buy from you. So that for that reason, you either have a lower conversion rate or you're just not maximizing it as high as it could be. So this example here, you can see we have 6 different objections, and by it, you can see that the first one is the largest. When I say the largest, I mean the biggest percentage of people that are on your product page have this objection one in their mind, which is stopping them from buying from you. So in this example, what this objection can be, it can be like something like, I'm unsure if this product is right for my skin type. If you're selling the apparel, this objection could be, I'm unsure if the size will fit me, or stuff like that. So you always have these objections. The people that are not buying from you, they have these objections in their mind, and these objections are ultimately stopping them from buying from you. So if you could actually uncover these objections and have them on your product page, your conversion rate would be way higher. So how can you actually get in your customer's mind, uncover them, and have them in your store to boost your bottom line? So one of the best ways, and it's really odd to me that how many 7 and 8 figure stores are not using this technique to actually uncover these objections, is that you can literally go and ask your customers, your visitors, what are their objections. So in this video, I'm going to show you that how you can actually ask your customers what are their objections, get that data on that, and therefore you get to optimize your website experience so that more people ultimately end up buying from you. So how do you actually get and ask your customers what are their objections so that you get to clarify this and get them to buy from you? So one of the best ways to do this, it's not the only way, but it's one of the ways that I'm going to cover in this video, is to simply have the post-purchase survey. So let's cover what the post-purchase survey is. So after your customers place the order, they will see and answer the survey on the thank you page. So this survey is positioned on the thank you page after somebody has purchased from your Shopify store. So in this example, we have the example from the no commerce widget. And when the visitor finishes the purchase, they get this survey on their thank you page. So here you can position whatever the questions you want. But for this video, I'm going to show you what is the question that you can ask to get these objections and optimize your website experience. So how to actually uncover these objections with the post-purchase survey. Now we're going to cover it step by step so that you can actually get this into the practice, uncover this, and optimize your conversion rate. So first, you're going to set up the post-purchase survey. Now, because I'm not affiliated with any of these apps, these are the apps that we're using for my CRO agency. I'm just going to show you what they are. You can choose, there's endless applications that you can choose for that. It really doesn't matter which app you choose. What matters is the methodology that you're using, that you're asking right questions and following all these next steps that you want. So I'm going to cover just briefly 2 apps that we have here. The first one is the no commerce that I have already mentioned. It's a really good app. It has a lot of the customization, but the problem with it is that it's a little bit on the higher end when it comes to the pricing. I mean, this is not really the higher end for the 7 and 8 figure stores, but if you're a lower revenue store, this could be a little more expensive for you. And the second app that we have here is the Grapevine post-purchase survey. So we have that one. It has a lower price. It's a little bit limited when it comes to the customization, but it will get you the job done for the purpose of this video that we're going to cover here. So you can choose whatever app you want. As I can mention, it doesn't really matter. The methodology and how you are getting the data, analyzing it, and using it is what really matters. So you choose the one that fits your needs the best. The next thing that we're going to cover after you set up the post-purchase survey, you're going to set up the questions that you're going to ask your customer on your post-purchase survey. So in this example, I have one question that you want to ask. You can, of course, ask more questions, but the purpose of this video is to uncover these objections. And the questions that you can ask on your post-purchase survey before we get to that questions can be open-ended and closed-ended. So when we have closed-ended questions, your visitors already have a set of choices that they can choose on your post-purchase survey. So in this example, you can see you can choose either 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or whatever. So this is a closed-ended type of question. So they have set of options that they can choose from, they choose from it, and that's how they answer the survey. But the another type of question that you can ask here is the open-ended question, so which we're going to cover. In the open-ended questions, you literally ask them a question and they can answer it with their own words. So they're going to answer the question by typing it what they want to answer, right? So they're going to type in their answer. So now the difference between the open-ended and closed-ended question is that for the closed-end question, like this one, is the pros of it is that you're going to just get the data quicker. So because people don't have to type in, more of them will be eager to give you the response. They just have to click on the answer and that's how they answer it. So you're going to get the data faster because you're going to have the higher percentage of people answering your survey, right? When it comes to the open-ended questions that we're going to cover, it's a little bit slower when it comes to the getting the responses because people have to type in. Not many people want to type in. So you're going to get a little lower percentage of the people that are answering your question, but you're going to get the exact answers. You're going to see the language that your customers are using. You're going to see something. Maybe they give you some of the answers that you didn't have in the closed-ended questions that might surprise you and give you more ideas on optimizing your website experience. So for that reason, that is the comparison between the open-ended and closed-ended questions. But in this example, we're going to proceed specifically with the open-ended question because we want to see the language, what they're telling us, and maybe even uncover some of the things that we didn't really expect once we are setting up this survey, right? So for the questions, you're going to set up the open-ended question. And this question is, what is the one thing that nearly stopped you from buying from us? So now the customer has bought your product, they're on your thank you page, they have already decided to work with you, to collaborate with you. Now they're very eager on answering any question that you want and they have that experience still fresh in their mind. And you want to ask them that question so that you really understand what is that one thing that almost made them not buy from you. You're basically asking them what was this objection that they have had before placing the order, right? So you're going to get more answers, you're going to get more objections, and we're going to cover how you can sort out that a little bit later, but you're basically asking them about that objection. Now, when it comes to this question, what's very important here is that you want to have this one thing, right? Because if you are not specific with your customers once you're asking them question, what can happen, they can just like start listing more and more things, stuff like more and more objections, more and more reason. But when you have this wording, what you're essentially doing, you're making them think what is the one thing, what is the biggest objection that they have had before placing the order, right? So very important thing, you want to be specific. You want to make these questions also very short so that when they see it on the thank you page, they actually consume it and get to answer your survey. So you're going to set up this question. You're going to set up the open-ended question that will help you understand these objections that we have covered here, right? So now you have set up the question. The next thing you have to do is just to literally wait for the answers, right? So how many answers do you actually need in order to be safe when it comes to the strength of the signal and have the statistically significant data? So it's ideal to have at least between 200 and 300 responses if you want to have statistically significant data. I've seen numerous of times people set up the post-purchase surveys, they get 10 answers and they go straight up on optimizing their website experience. This is pretty bad because you don't have enough data to be able to actually conclude what is the objection that is stopping your customers. So for that reason, depending on your order volume on your Shopify store, it's going to determine how fast you're going to get this data and therefore use that data to optimize it further. For some of our clients, we get this data literally in 5 days because they have thousands of orders per month. For some of the clients, we get this data in 2 weeks. Depending on how many orders you have, it's going to make it quicker or slower. And based on that, you want to aim to have at least 200 to 300 responses to have significant data, right? So very important thing you want before you analyze, make sure you have enough data that you can be safe to say that this is the biggest objection or this another thing is the biggest objection. So now, once you have the data, the next thing you have to do is to analyze the data, right? So we have gathered the data, you want to analyze it. Now, all of these tools that I have mentioned, they all have the export in the CSV format, which you're going to do. You're going to export the full report of the data that you have gotten, and now you're going to analyze to see what are these biggest objections, right? There are two ways that you can do that. The first one is with the AI. You can literally use this CSV and import it into the AI. You can ask the AI, what's the biggest objections that these customers have before they have placed the order? This is the survey that I have asked, and these are the responses, and you upload your CSV. And another way you can do is to do it literally manually. So you are essentially going through each of these objections that they have, and you sort out each of the objections under certain bucket, right? So you have a bucket 1 for the objection 1, you have the bucket 2 for the objection 2, and so on. Now, the thing is that at my agency, what we're doing, we're essentially doing both of these methods. So now you might be thinking, why are you even doing it manually when you have the ChatGPT and all these AI tools? The thing is that when you are doing these things manually, what you're essentially doing, you're also gathering the sense of your customers, or you're getting the voice of customer. That's how it's called. You're seeing the language that your customers are using on your product page. And when you have that language and you get that sense of the voice of the customer, you are essentially now understanding how they speak, what are the words they're using. And now you can basically use these words and then sense to incorporate that in your product page, rather than, just having the percentages that the ChatGPT or Cloud will provide you. If you just put the input and you get the response within like 15 seconds, right? It's very important to really understand the language that your customers are using, not only to get this data, because when you see this language and when you bucket these things manually, you're going to essentially really understand your customers. You're going to really expand your understanding of your customers, and therefore your targeting and your optimization will just be much more accurate, rather than if you just get some of the percentages from the AI. So I highly recommend you to use both of these methods to do the things manually, and then put these things through the ChatGPT or any AI tool that you're using, just to cross-check and see if you have done the things manually correctly and you have the accurate data on the research you have done. So after you have analyzed your data and you have bucketed your objections, and you have realized that most of the people have certain objections over the others, now you will see what are the most objections that your visitors have once they are on your product page, right? So you're going to understand what is basically stopping them from buying from you. And once you understand what are the objections that they have, you want to create the hypothesis and test these hypotheses that are going to tackle these objections that you have found in your research. And this is basically the conversion rate optimization process. This is just one of these researches method that we are using for our clients. After you find the objections by the survey, there are multiple research methods. You're just not doing the guesswork. You're just not chasing what your competitors are doing. And when you're doing that, you're essentially getting to increase your conversion rate and your bottom line. So if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. And if you'd like me to audit your store and to give you ideas based on your data and based on what I see in your store, what you can do right now to boost your conversion rate, you can fulfill the form in the link in the description, and I will give you a personalized audit for your specific case. And if you like this video, you can watch this next one that will also help you with increasing your conversion rate and your bottom line.